Hi and welcome to this 2020 winter update. Now I've got a few things planned for the future. First of all, I'd just like to talk about my Moto Guzzi Le Mans 1000. Those of you who follow this channel would have perhaps seen some of the videos I did on renewing the valve guides on this bike and doing a few other little tidy ups on it. I did some fiberglass repair on the front guard and the lower fairing on this side. It's pretty much as I would like it for the next few years. Sure, it's not perfect cosmetically, but for me this is a riding bike. It needs to be mechanically sound. There's a couple of little things that I need to do to it. Now, these bikes are fitted with boot guards over the crossovers, and they're only bolted on at the top. And they have a tendency to fatigue crack around those bolts because that boot guard actually vibrates quite significantly when the bike is running at certain RPMs. In fact, you'll notice if you tap the guard, if you've got your muffler clamps in not quite the correct position, that you'll actually get a buzzing sound when you tap them, and that will actually transmit through to your foot pegs. So, if you do have those guards on a Mark IV or Mark V Le Mans, it's worthwhile seeing whether they're touching anything, because you actually get quite a nasty vibration. But back to the fatigue cracking, I've got to come up with a way of repairing these two. Both these have cracked in a minor way, but over time that's only going to get worse until eventually the crack will get so severe that perhaps one of these will fall off. And they are getting rather hard to find. I managed to get one replacement off eBay a year or two back when one of mine did actually break. It didn't actually fall off. It's probably still repairable. They are, it looks like, just a mild steel. It's been pressed and chrome plated. So they are eminently repairable, and that's one of the projects that I'll be looking into over the next year, is some way of repairing these boot guards. Now onto my Gilera Saturno. Now I'm still waiting for the water pump seal on that particular bike. When the pulley, the cam belt pulley came off, it heated the end of the shaft. I thought it would be prudent to replace the two bearings and the water pump seal, even though they look and feel okay. Now I've got to get another shaft made for the water pump, and I've also got to get that water pump pulley repaired. It's gone a little bit oval when it started spinning on the shaft. Apart from that, there's not much else to do on that bike. Now my Benelli TNT, I'm actually thinking of selling that bike and buying another club permit bike. In Victoria, where I live, I can register a bike through my club at a really good concessional rate. You can register it for 45 or 90 days a year. You have to keep a logbook, of course, which is a bit of a pain, but it's worth it for the cheaper registration. And you can do this for any motorcycle or car that's over 25 years old. So with the Benelli, I've owned that since 2006. I bought that new, and I've really enjoyed my time with it. But I'm beginning to think that it is time for a change. But I haven't made up my mind what I'd actually like. There's a number of motorcycles out there. Do I get another Moto Guzzi Le Mans, an earlier model? Do I get myself a Ducati or a Laverda, or maybe even a one of the early Japanese sports bikes? I'm rather taken with the Suzuki GSXRs, the early 80s models. They're quite pretty bikes and quite nice sports bikes from that era. There's a bit of decision making to be made there, but I'll give that a bit of a thought and come to a decision sometime over the next year. Now, my wife's Moto Guzzi Breva, that is running quite well at the moment. We're getting close to 130,000 kilometres on that. You would have seen some of the last videos I did on that. We had the changing the brake pads for the rear was actually the last video, and the one before that was changing the oil in the gearbox and the bevel drive. But apart from that, the only thing that I really need to do is look at the throttle body balance. But that's something that I'm looking at doing sometime in the next few months. Well, that pretty much covers it. I've got a few other things that I want to do. I want to do a bit more of a tidy up of the workshop. You know, my tools have had a tendency to get a bit out of control at times. You know, I've got them in trays, I've got some of them up on the wall, and they're not always to hand readily, and it can be difficult to find them. So I'd really like to organise my workshop a little bit better, but hopefully I'll be able to do that over the coming year sometime. Well, I think that about sums up this 2020 winter update, and I'll catch you next time.